The term budget crossover doesn't have quite the same meaning now as it did 3 years ago. Back then, you felt the budget not just in the price, but also everywhere else. Now, as 2022 is about to end, things have changed quite a bit. In this video, we're gonna rank budget crossovers in different categories. Categories based on price, based on features, and then at the end, we're gonna choose our overall pick. So which budget crossover is the best this year? Let's find out. Before 2019, 1.3 million plus and below were considered low budget. At those prices, you had to make do with plasticky interiors and basic tech. You'd be lucky if you got a reverse camera, and leather seats were considered a luxury. That changed with a new wave of Chinese crossovers, led by the popular Geely Coolray. It introduced large, high-resolution screens, 360 cameras, and an interior that was ahead of anything else at the time. It also had 177 horsepower, at a time when the competition had 100 to 120.
Oh yeah.
So it instantly made a lot of mainstream crossovers feel obsolete. And then in 2020, the Ford Territory was launched. Like the Coolray, it also had a 360 camera, a panoramic sunroof, power leather seats, but it raised the bar even more as it was the first to come with ADAS features like adaptive cruise control with stop and go function. It sold very well with a market share of over 50%. And from then on, it's been an arms war. This is one of the most competitive price brackets in the Philippines right now. And to compete, you have to have what it takes. The good thing about fierce competition is that it drives innovation without driving up the cost. Features that used to be considered premium, like large screens, 360 cameras, panoramic sunroofs, are becoming standard throughout the field. And now ADAS is slowly creeping into the segment. This year, we also saw something new in this price bracket. A hybrid of sorts, which has a starting price of just 1.2 million pesos. With that out of the way, let's start with our first category. First category is best low end. This covers crossovers priced below 1 million pesos. Toyota Rays 1.2G. Toyota was known for underspec'd and overpriced vehicles. So I was quite surprised when I first saw the Toyota Rays, because it's none of those things. It's well spec'd. It's also priced well enough that it can stand toe-to-toe with the Chinese crossovers, even without the Toyota badge. While the interior is made mostly of hard plastic, you get leather in a few places, like the steering wheel, the armrests. You get an 8-inch screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. When you drive the car though, that's when you feel it's more budget-oriented in nature. NVH levels are not the best. Because it comes with a 3-cylinder engine, you get a bit of vibration at idle. Power is okay for city driving. On the highway, it's still usable, although you might find it a bit lacking if you want to overtake at higher speeds. Kia Stonic. There are a lot of things going for the Kia Stonic. It's good looking. It has an 8-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Its 1.4-liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine produces more power and also feels smoother than the 1.2-liter 3-cylinder engine of the Rays. And its 6-speed transmission makes it feel more engaging to drive than its competitors, which mostly come with CVTs. On the downside, you get a lot more plastics in the interior. The steering wheel is made of polyurethane, and you don't get a center armrest. But overall, I think the power, the better NVH levels, and the transmission give it a slight edge over the Toyota Rays. And at first place is the Chery Tiggo 5X. The 1.5-liter 4-cylinder engine of the Tigo 5X feels more refined than the 3-cylinder engine of the Race 1.2. It also has more power. The interior is of a much better quality. You get higher quality materials, and the design also looks more premium. You get leather seats. The driver's seat is power adjustable. You also get a sunroof, although it's not panoramic. It gets a large and relatively sharp 9-inch infotainment screen. It also has a reverse camera with active guidelines. It has cruise control, rear air vents, and on top of all of that, you get Chery's 10-year powertrain warranty. On the downside, it's not a fast car, but its competitors are pretty slow as well, so it's not really a point against it. Next category is best mid-range.
Sure.
At third place is the Changan CS55 Lite. The Changan CS55 Lite is the base model in the CS55 lineup. On the outside, it looks almost the same as the top spec, sporting the same 19-inch wheels. Like the top of the line, it also has leather seats. It has the same 188 horsepower engine and 7-speed dual clutch transmission. The differences are you don't get ADAS, you don't get a panoramic sunroof. Instead, you get a standard sunroof. Only the driver's seat is power adjustable. You don't get a 360 camera, instead you get a reverse camera. And you get a smaller 10-inch screen instead of the 12-inch screen of the top of the line. MG ZST. The MG ZST is a fun little car to drive. It has a 1.3-liter turbocharged engine, which puts out 160 horsepower and 230 Newton-meters of torque. That's more than enough power for its tiny frame. It looks aggressive, especially when blacked out like this. The interior looks pretty good, and it's not short on features for its price. It gets a 360 camera, a panoramic sunroof, blind spot warning, lane departure warning. It sells for 1,158,000 pesos. And for that price, it's one of the more feature-packed crossovers that you can buy. And at first place is the Geely Coolray Premium, the middle range variant in the Geely Coolray lineup. The Geely Coolray is one of the most sporty crossovers in the segment, both in terms of looks and actual performance.
Oh, yeah.
The Premium is mostly the same as the top spec Sport variant. The main differences are: 1, the interior of the Premium is all black. The Premium doesn't get a 360 camera, instead it gets a reverse camera. And it doesn't get park assist. The advantage of the Coolray Premium over the base model CS55 is that the Coolray Premium has a panoramic sunroof and a slightly more responsive transmission. And I ranked it higher than the MG ZST because I think the Coolray's interior looks much nicer. It also has much more horsepower, and the steering feels a lot more sporty. Best high-end. Our pick for the best high-end will also be our best budget crossover of 2022. So we'll leave this one out for last. Next category is best interior. At third place is the Ford Territory. The Ford Territory goes for a more mature and more luxurious look than the Geely Coolray. You get wood panels, you get plenty of gloss black accents. Overall, I think it looks very good. I just wish that it came with physical controls for the air conditioning.
For example, you're using Waze, you have to go back to the main menu. And that's the only time that you can adjust the fan speed.
At second place is the Geely Coolray. The red and black interior of the Coolray Sport is a love it or hate it thing. In my case, I love it. I think the red leather, coupled with the brushed aluminum accents, give the interior a more premium but still youthful look. The 10-inch screen may not be the biggest, but it looks thin and the bezel is very minimal. Overall, it looks sporty, it looks modern, and it looks premium. And at first place is the Changan CS55. The CS55's interior would look very familiar to you if you've ever been in a Peugeot. You get a similar steering wheel and instrument cluster layout, which I think gives the interior a more cockpit-like look. It also gets a huge and high-resolution 12.3-inch screen, which is the biggest in this price bracket. The materials are mostly top-notch, with just a few cheap plastics here and there. The two-tone color scheme also brings out the details of the interior and gives it a more premium look. Next category is Best in Tech. At third place is the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. The Tiggo 7 Pro comes with a 360 camera, a power liftgate, a large 10.25-inch screen with Apple CarPlay and QD Link. It gets ambient lighting, dual zone climate control, a 7-inch instrument cluster, a wireless phone charger, power adjustable leather seats for both the driver and the passenger. The driver gets adjustable lumbar support. It gets an electronic parking brake with auto hold, a panoramic sunroof. It doesn't come with ADAS though, so it's in third place. At second place is the Ford Territory. Since it was launched until just recently, the Ford Territory had the most impressive spec sheet in the segment. In 2022, they removed the wireless charger and the ventilated seats, probably because of the chip shortage. But even with those features removed, it's still one of the most feature-packed crossovers in this price bracket. It's one of only 3 crossovers in this price bracket that comes with adaptive cruise control. It has automatic braking, lane departure warning, blind spot warning. It has a 360 camera, a panoramic sunroof, and automatic parking. And at first place is the Changan CS55. The Changan CS55 has a very similar spec sheet to the Ford Territory. It also gets ADAS, but it gets a very slight edge because it gets lane keep assist, which automatically steers the car instead of just beeping at you. It also comes with a power liftgate and a larger 12-inch infotainment screen. The next category is the best crossover to drive. Now, there's not just one type of driving enjoyment. One could derive enjoyment from brisk acceleration, good handling, or one could derive enjoyment from comfort, good noise insulation, and useful driver aids. The kind of crossover that will not get the most points here is the one that's just okay to drive. It has to stand out in a positive way somehow. At third place is the Geely Coolray. The Geely Coolray may not have as much horsepower as the CS55, but it has a quicker transmission. So it feels more responsive to throttle input. You also get paddle shifters if ever you want to shift manually. The Coolray is one of the older crossovers on this list, and as such, it doesn't get ADAS, it doesn't get adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, which I think makes it feel more one-dimensional than the Changan CS55. At second place is the Changan CS55. The CS55 has the most powerful engine in this class, 188 horses and 300 Newton meters of torque. The transmission is not as quick to respond as the Coolray, but you do get paddle shifters in case you want to do the shifting yourself. The first time I drove it, we were fully loaded with passengers and cargo, so I wasn't too impressed with the handling. But then I tried driving it alone, and it was actually relatively agile. The steering ratio is relatively quick, and the shape of it makes you feel like you're driving an F1 car. When you don't feel like putting all those 188 horses to work yourself, you have plenty of driver assist features like adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist to make your job a lot easier and more relaxing. It's also very quiet and very comfortable inside the cabin. And at first place is the Nissan Kicks. The Nissan Kicks offers the most unique driving experience of all the vehicles here. Most cars are usually either fuel efficient or quick. The Kicks is both. It may be classified as a hybrid car by the LTO, but it drives like a fully electric car. And that's because it's driven entirely by an electric motor. The internal combustion engine is only there to charge the battery. Like EVs, you get instant torque. You only get a single-speed reduction gearbox, so there's no time lost in shifting. I was able to do 0 to 100 kph in 7.5 seconds. It is quicker to 100 kph than any budget crossover that I've tested. It's also very quiet. Now, it lacks adaptive cruise control, but I think the fun factor, the novelty of it, and the excellent fuel economy make up for that deficiency. Next category is Best Exterior. As per tradition, you guys will get to decide the winner on this category. Congratulations to those who voted for the Ford Territory. It gets first place. Second place goes to the HRVS, and third place goes to the Geely Coolray. Unlike our best PPV of 2022 list, there is no clear-cut objective winner here, as the top contenders excel at different things. But I will narrow my choices down to 5 picks, which I think excel in their respective categories. The Ford Territory, the Changan CS55, the Geely Coolray, the HRVS, and the Nissan Kicks. I think you can't go wrong with any of these choices. It all depends on your preference. If you want tech, a premium interior, and a beefy engine, the CS55 would be a good match for you. If you want a sporty crossover, both in terms of performance and looks, the Geely Coolray would be a good match. If you want full ADAS like adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, coupled with good fuel economy, and you're not yet ready to get a Chinese crossover, there is the Honda HRVS. The Ford Territory was my pick for the past 2 years because it was the first, and until just recently, the only one that came with full ADAS features like adaptive cruise control, automatic braking, etc. I think these features are not just convenient to have, but are important in promoting safety. Now, as ADAS is slowly becoming more common in the segment, it doesn't stand out quite as much anymore. There is a new front that is just starting to penetrate this price bracket. That is electrification. My choice for the best crossover of 2022 is the Nissan Kicks. The Nissan Kicks doesn't have the most premium looking interior. In fact, compared to its peers, its interior looks basic, drab, and quite dated. But it stands out because it is the only electrified car on this list. The Kicks VE sells for just 1.3 million pesos, which is almost 400,000 pesos cheaper than the Corolla Cross Hybrid. This is the first electrified vehicle to penetrate this price bracket, a trend that we would like to see continue. Driving an electrified vehicle has a couple of perks in the Philippines. One, you're exempt from coding, so you can drive your car any day. Two, of course, it is very fuel efficient. I got 15 to as much as 22 kpl in very heavy city traffic. And best of all, at least for me, you don't have to sacrifice fun and acceleration in the name of saving fuel. It is one of the quickest and most fun crossovers to drive in this segment. My pick is usually the one that dominates the competition. Or if not that, the one that stands out the most. And in this price bracket, this is the crossover that stands out the most this year.